I'm really excited to be here. My name is Dee Dee Vicino. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm originally from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That's where I taught. That's when I was an assistant principal in South Florida. So you can imagine the behavior issues that I had teaching in Title I inner city urban schools. But I'm really, really happy to have this opportunity to share with you what I learned on a very long teaching and administrating journey when it comes to those things. Now, I don't think it would surprise you to know that about 30% of new teachers fled the profession, fled like hair on fire, fleeing between 2012 and 2017. So why do you think that is? You guys can put your answers in the chat. Why do you think teachers are leaving the teaching profession in droves? Burnout. Yeah, absolutely. It is a tough gig, Rhonda. So tough. Burnout, tough gig, a lot of pressure, Vanessa. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. It's the hardest job in the world, isn't it? Burnout, paperwork, parent pressure, oh Lord, classroom management, parent misconception, student discipline, not feeling supported. You guys are nailing it. Immense pressure, absolutely. And parents, yeah, they want to be your friends. They don't want to be friends with their kids and not be parents of their kids. All of these are absolutely right answers. And the number one is classroom chaos, classroom management, lack of support from administration. We just aren't giving our teachers always what they need in order to be successful. Classroom behaviors, work has doubled over previous years, especially this year, right, in the time of COVID, especially if you're teaching in a hybrid environment and an online environment. It can be a lot. We have 60% administrators in the room and 40% teachers in the room. That's awesome. That's a nice little mix. I like that a lot. But I will tell you, truth. I was one of those teachers who fled. I fled my first year teaching. I didn't make it to the end of the year. I made it 4 months. And I made every single rookie mistake that you can make. I listened to people telling me how to be successful, and they were all wrong. Don't smile. Don't be nice to your kids. Be mean. It was horrible. It was an absolutely horrible experience. And I fled the classroom, and I didn't return for 17 years. It took me 17 years before I got back to the classroom. So I learned a lot when I returned to the classroom, and I learned what to do as opposed to what not to do. And I want to share that with you because, I've been listening to Dr. Redfield. He's the CDC director. I've been listening to Dr. Fauci. I'm excited to listen to Dr. Walensky. She's the Biden-elect for the head of the CDC to see what's going to happen with schools and with, the new vaccine coming out, with new CDC guidelines being put into place, and listening to these professionals saying kids need to be in school. I suspect sometime in 2021, we will all be back in our schools if we are not already. It looks like most of you are in a hybrid environment. Wow, you must be exhausted. It is just exhausting. One of the nice things about being in a hybrid environment is that you don't have as many kids in your classroom. You guys find that you don't have as many kids in your classroom, so classroom behavior issues in the classroom aren't as extreme as they used to be. But listen, they're coming back. They're coming back. We're going to have room full of kids again, probably fall of 2021, if not sooner for some schools. So after being out of a full-size classroom for close to a year, have children having been outside of full-time classrooms for over a year, I think it's really important that we wrap our head around classroom management and that we are ready for it when they come back in droves, because they will come back to us in droves. Also, for those of you, the 18.75% that are teaching online, these strategies and techniques that I'm going to talk to you about also transfer to an online environment. So they're things that are important and that we can implement whether we're online, whether we're full-time, or in brick and mortar. With these kids, whether we're full-time in person, whether we're online, whether we're in a hybrid environment, you know these kids. You know your kids. This is my online classroom, by the way, fully virtual now. Yeah. And I am no longer a classroom teacher. I'm not even an assistant principal anymore. I've spent the spring and the summer working with teachers to prepare them to enter the hybrid or full online world, to help prepare them full-time. That's great, Rebecca. So this is my classroom. This is where I teach teachers. And I do have my whole little classroom. And this is, you see in the corner there, it's a graphene. Are any of you familiar with graphies? I'd rather have them. face-to-face. I know, Brenda, I'm with you completely. A graphy, if you think of a YouTube informational video that got married to an Instagram story and had a baby, it would be a graphy. So I created this graphy to help teachers transition from brick and mortar to online or hybrid. And one of the chapters in there focuses strictly on classroom management. And you can get it at Apple Store, you can get it Google Play. It's a free 30-day subscription, so you can get it for free. But I just wanted you to know that it was out there and that although I am not teaching students, I have been teaching teachers. Let me ask you this. Do you believe that students come to school prepared and ready to learn? BC, online, hybrid, do you believe they're coming to school prepared and ready to learn? Listen, I think this is the biggest myth in education, that students come to school prepared and ready to learn. And you know how I know? Eduardo never was prepared and ready to learn. And he was one of my challenges. I think that we have three different kinds of students that we deal with. The first one is the always student, right? No, not all. Exactly right. I'm going to get your name right one of these days. But yeah, some do, Amber. Some absolutely do. And our always students are definitely the ones who do. And you know these always students, right? They are always on time. They are always prepared. They always participate. They always raise their hand. If they're online, they always have their camera on. They were always there and eager and ready. Do you have a classroom full of these kids? I didn't. I had a few of them, but I did not have, yeah, exactly right, Brenda, exactly right, Heather. I didn't have a room full of these kids. I didn't. I had a room full of these kids. They sometimes came to school, most of the time. They were sometimes prepared, most of the time. They sometimes participated. They sometimes knew the right answer. They sometimes thought they knew the right answer. But this was who I had the majority of was. Will we receive this PowerPoint? Listen, Meredith, I tried to upload that darn thing. I don't know if the file's too big or what. I was not able to upload it. What I will do is I will save it, parts of it because it's just too big, but I will save it. I tried to save it as a PDF and I couldn't upload it that way either. So I will talk to the powers that be and see if I can get that to you. But thanks for asking. I really appreciate that. You can take screenshots though. You can take screenshots of everything. Then we have our third student, and this the never student. And this student, I think, is the easiest to identify. The others, you got to get to know them a little bit. These never students, you know who they are right away, especially if you're brick and mortar, because they never, ever are absent. They are never not in school. They're the ones you wish maybe sometimes were not in school, but they're always there. And these are our challenging students. And if we're talking about online or hybrid, these are the students who maybe never have their cameras on. These are the students who maybe never come to class or never turn in their homework. Because things are different in COVID, and things are different in hybrid, and things are different online, and we don't know what these kids have got going on. And the reason they're never absent in brick and mortar is because they know when they come to school, there's structure. They know what to expect. They know they're going to be greeted by a responsible adult. They know they're going to get breakfast. They know they're going to get lunch. And they don't always know these things at home. Home can be volatile. But school, they can count on. Even if they never behave the way we want them to behave, school is something they can count on. Now, if they are never online with you, if they are never turning in their homework, if they never have their camera on, I think we need to give these kids a little bit of grace because, first of all, they may not want you to see their home environment. They may not want you. Yeah, exactly. Structure and safety, Lisa. They may not want you to see what's going on. Their parents may be at work. They may not have childcare. They may have 3, 4, 5 siblings at home that they are supervising. So they're not online with you because they're supervising their siblings. We don't know what's happening. So we need to give these kids, I think, a little bit of grace. And again, these can be our most challenging students. Listen, as teachers, we wear a lot of hats. We are jack of all trades and master of none. We are tap dancing all day long. Did you know, this is interesting, I was surprised when I learned this, that you make, as teachers and administrators, you do it too, we make about 3,000 decisions a day. 3,000 decisions a day. That's more than a brain surgeon makes. Brain surgeons don't make that much. Now, I don't know, are you making as much money as a brain surgeon? Because I am not making as much money as a brain surgeon. But we're making more decisions than they make every day because we are tap dancing for our kids, especially if you're in a hybrid environment. You're doing a double tap dance, right? You're all over the darn place. But we do a lot of talking and we do a lot of redirecting of behavior, student behavior. And we're saying the same things over and over and over again, and that need not be the case. We lose about 5 to 9 hours of instructional time dealing with these low-level behaviors that take up our time, and we just are always addressing them. I'm glad they're participating when you're live. That makes such a huge difference, I think. So in order for us to take control of our classroom, hybrid, online, brick and mortar, I really need you to embrace 5 core beliefs and a paradigm shift that goes along with those beliefs. Because if we can agree on these 5 core beliefs, then the strategies and techniques that I give to you will work every single time. Bear with me. We're going to have to change our way of thinking. How many of you are familiar with the old lady, young lady? I should have had the slide, but I don't, because I don't like to do too many slides. Where you look at a picture and some people see a young woman and then other people see like an old hag, and you really can't see the other because you have to radically change the way you're looking at things. So I need us to agree that we can look at these 5 core beliefs in a way that you might not have looked at them before. The first one is caring is key. Students don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Does anybody know who said that? Who originated that statement? Okay, I'll give you a hint. The initials are MH. Yes, Heather. Who was it, Heather? It was Madeline Hunter. Madeline Hunter said those words, the guru of education. We love Madeline Hunter so much, and she is so right. If our students think for a moment that we don't care about them, we've lost the war before we've gone to battle. Before you got to Maslow, before you bloom. We cannot crawl up that ladder or sprint. We're probably crawling up that Bloom's taxonomy ladder until we have created an environment, a safe environment in which those kids can learn. So caring is absolutely key. Number 2, conflict is inevitable. Listen, it is inevitable and it is necessary. It is necessary for kids to grow. They have to learn how to handle conflict. And let me tell you something. These kids, they're good at it, man. Their job is to push our buttons, right? Yes. Their job is to push our buttons. And some of them, they get an A+ in that kind of thing. They absolutely do. But we need to make sure that self-control is exhibited in the classroom. Well, wouldn't it be great if all of our students had a super high level of self-control in the classroom? Wouldn't that be something? But see, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us. It is up to us to model self-control in the classroom with our students, no matter how much they push, no matter how much they're going to push. They're good at it. And I'm going to give you some unbelievable strategies that will help you deal with that student without disrupting your instruction in your classroom. Because that's their job. I mean, think about it. You're at the board, you're writing, you're online, you're typing, and you say to the children, please take out your homework so that we can review. I think there's a delay when you submit chat and when you receive it. Oh, okay, Jacqueline, thank you. I should probably not address it each time because that might throw y'all off a little bit. And you ask them to take out their homework, and Billy does not take out his homework. He never takes it. So you stop what you're doing and you say, Billy, because you said take out your homework. Billy doesn't take out his homework. Billy, I need you to take out your homework. I didn't do my homework. No, you did your homework. You did it after we finished classwork yesterday. I need you to take it out. I don't have it with me. No, you do. You put it in your folder. I don't have my folder. I'm looking at your folder. It's in your backpack. Take out your homework. That's the wrong folder. Well, where's the right folder? Well, it's in my oh my gosh. Homework. We are going to war with a kid over homework. And that is not what we need to do. We need to exhibit self-control. We need to be the calm that's in the room. And we need to take control of the situation. So I hope that we can all agree on that. And we can accept that conflict is inevitable. Combat is optional. We don't have to go to war with that kid. And I'm going to give you some neat tricks on how to avoid that and keep your calm and your cool and not lose it. Behavior can be changed. Can we all believe? Yeah, you got to choose your battles, Brenda. Can we all believe that behavior can be changed. Now, I believe it can be. We can change behavior, and if we change it positively, we can change academic performance as well. Now, I know you're having conversations with other teachers. I hope you're having conversations with other teachers because we really need that interaction. Now, if your teacher's lounge is still open in your classroom, if it hasn't been closed to COVID, if it hasn't been turned into another classroom, if you're having Zoom meetings with other teachers, however you're interacting, I would caution you and suggest that we stay away from the if only conversations. And you know these conversations, right? If only mom could stay out of jail. If only dad could stop drinking. If only Uncle Everett stopped gambling his paycheck away. If only grandma didn't have to watch 13 kids. If only the foster care system were a little bit better. And we're blaming all of these other constructs, all of these other situations on our students' behavior. Listen, one of the wisest women in the world once told me and everybody else in my school, your students' success depends on those who stand before them. Your students will only succeed as long as you stand before them. You are the one that makes the difference. That's why those never kids never miss a day, because they're counting on you. We can change student behavior. So I hope that y'all can buy into that, because if you can't, I'm telling you, these strategies aren't going to work for you. We have to create a class structure. We have to learn how to hook our students. We have to do this. And listen, do you think kids come to class knowing how to behave? Wouldn't it be great? I mean, kids come to school prepared and ready to learn. We really want to believe that. We also want to believe that they come to school ready to behave. And as a middle school teacher, I can tell you, they do not come to school knowing how to behave. I would think that in 6th grade, by the time a child gets to 6th grade, they would know how to walk down the hallway without flipping somebody's hat off their head. I would think by the time a child gets to high school, they would know how to go to the bathroom and come back without making 15 side trips so they could kiss their girlfriend under the bleachers. I would think that a 1st grader, after being in kindergarten for a year, would know how to sit on the carpet for 4 minutes without poking his finger. But they don't. How many middle school? Do I have middle school teachers in here? Do we have middle school teachers in here? Listen, middle school teachers, you know these kids don't come to class ready to behave. I was a middle school teacher, and I will tell you why. It's you elementary school teachers. It's all your fault. I'm just playing. I'm picking on you. But honestly, when we think about how we condition our elementary school students, we all have our little color cards, right? You misbehave, you pull a card. You misbehave, you put your clip up the ribbon. The monkey crawls across the vine. Whatever you're doing to track behavior. It sounds like a great middle school admin. Perfect, Amber. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what is happening. As an administrator, a middle school administrator, an elementary school administrator, I spent a lot of time in elementary school classrooms. And what I would see is a teacher say, okay, all right, Samantha, I need you to take your seat now. And then Samantha would not take the seat. And then Samantha should say, no, really, Samantha, I need you to take your seat. I've already asked you once. I don't want to ask you again. Samantha's not sitting. Samantha, please get in your seat. Samantha doesn't sit. Samantha, if you don't get in your seat, you're going to have to pull a card. And it goes on and on until finally you say, okay, Samantha, pull your card. Now, if Samantha is an attention seeker, this is awesome for her. All eyes are on her. Pull her little card, sit her little self down. If Samantha is not an attention seeker, she might start crying. And now you've got this crying child in your room, and what do? And we've given that child 5, 6, 7 opportunities. We have conditioned them to misbehave before the consequence takes place. And I understand the psychology behind it. I really, really do. But middle school, high school, we don't have time for that. We have to honor the choice our student makes. And if they choose not to sit down, we have to honor that. We draw the line in the sand. We teach them what's right and what's wrong, and we deal with it right away. Immediately, we nip it in the bud. And again, I'm going to go over how we're going to do that in a minute. We're just trying to get through these 5 core beliefs first, because, we're teachers. We got to chunk things. We got to chunk it out. Absolutely. Right? But if we believe behavior can be changed, I think we can also agree that good behavior must be taught, because as we just discussed, we think they should know how to behave when they come to class, but they don't. So we have to teach good behavior. This is really important. We need to teach our classroom rules and our classroom procedures just as strategically and systematically as we teach our content. Think about it. I was a middle school English teacher. Let's say I'm doing a lesson on compound complex sentences, and they are not getting it. What do? Do I move on? I spent 10 minutes on it. You should know it. Let's go. No, I reteach, and I reteach, and I reteach till I know they've got it. That's what we do. What do we do with our classroom rules and procedures? We make pretty bulletins, right? Pretty posters. We stick them up on the wall, beginning of the year. We talk to our students for about 10 minutes, and then we move on into content. We are content driven. We are going to teach these kids. This is going to be the best year ever. I don't know about your school, but in my school, those first 2 weeks of school were like honeymoon. It was fabulous. The PTO, the PTA, the SAC committee, whatever you've got going on in your school, they're bringing us food. They're bringing us presents, administration, and giving us little motivational gifts. And we are so excited. And we know this is the year. This is the year that we nail the test. Because, you got that memo, right? If that's your purpose in life as a teacher, is make sure all your children are passing or at least making progress on that standardized test. And we don't have a minute to lose. We are focusing on content. We can't deliver content if we don't have control of our classrooms. And this is going to sound extreme. This may be the hardest one for you to buy into, honestly. We need to spend the first 2 to 6 weeks, depending on your school culture, on rules and procedures. Not just rules and procedures. Of course, we're going to teach content. But we really need to focus on these and set that structure. We set expectations when we teach, right? This is what I expect you to learn. These are the objectives. These are the expectations I have when you come into my classroom. And we're going to know it inside, outside, upside down. I always tied content to my teaching of rules and procedures. So I was not losing my instructional time, but I was layering it within the construct of the rules and procedures. So we taught rules and procedures solid for the first week, and then we peppered the second week in our school. And we did it school-wide, and it was a systematic, targeted approach. And those kids, they were exhausted by the end of the day, the first day. All they did was rules and procedures, and we had the exact same 5 rules for every single classroom in middle school. Procedures were different depending on the classroom, but our class rules were all the same, and they got them. First period, second period, third period, bless them. But they knew them, and the school operated very smoothly as a result. So hopefully you guys can buy into that we really need to teach good behavior. Last, good discipline is well timed. Timing is everything. Timing is everything. My husband and I divorced, so he's technically not my husband anymore. We divorced a long time ago when children were 5 and 10 at the time. They're young adults now. And we had to co-parent together for many years as a result. And I knew that if I had to ask him for something, I knew if I had to deliver news that he might not want to hear, I knew that if I did it on Sunday night, it was not going to be pretty. I knew if I did it on Wednesday morning, it was going to be beautiful. Because he had Bible study every Tuesday night. And he was all full of Jesus and the Spirit and was at one with the universe for the next 2 to 3 days. And if I caught him fresh, everything worked out just fine. So timing is everything in your personal life and in your classroom. Good discipline is well timed. So I need you to buy into that because, listen, I got into it with Billy about his homework, right? I got into it with him. And what did I do? I took away instruction from my students because now they're all, right? They're not doing this. They're like, toom, toom. They are focused in on what's happening with Billy and me. They're focused in on what's happening with Samantha, not pulling her card. It's a lose-lose for everybody. It's a sucker dance. Nobody wins. So we just need to make sure that we are timing the way we deal with our students well so that we are not distracting from instruction and we are honoring the other students that are in our room. If we can agree that caring is key and create those unconditional relationships with our kids that are dependent on who they are and not how they perform, if we can agree that conflict is inevitable and we can exhibit self-control, we can deal with situations in our classroom calmly and understanding that silence is powerful. And if we've got our holsters full of diffusers that we can use to shut things down before they even start, if we know that we can change behavior and we work on changing that behavior through a process, and if we teach to those good behaviors and discipline on time that's important to them and not to us, I promise you, the way your classrooms operate, it will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. Again, my name is Dee Vecino. I do train in schools. If you're interested in talking to me about that, I'm happy to talk to you. The main reason I'm here today, though, is to prepare us for our students returning to the classroom and to help you if you're struggling with an online environment, because you can use all of these things pretty much online as well. If you've got any questions for me, I don't have any questions in the Q&A right now. But if you have questions, you can pop them in the chat. You can put them in the Q&A. But if you have any questions, absolutely, ask away. I'm happy and excited to be here with you and to answer any questions that you have. Again, all of those handouts are, thank you so much, Jacqueline. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm glad you're still here. Thank you, Meredith. Thanks, Amber. Again, no questions. Oh, thanks, Megan. But those handouts are there for you. You've got all of the diffusers, you've got the seating charts, you've got the handout, and I will see what I can do about getting the part of the presentation to you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Diana. One of my favorite things is talking to teachers and talking to administrators. And, that's what we do, right? We share. We share what we know, and I learn every day. I learned so much from Principal Khalife this morning. It was just inspirational. Thank you so much, Cindy. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, Harry Wong is amazing. He really is. It's so funny. I had a second grade teacher. This is a true story. And it was the first day of school. It was her first year teaching. She had graduated and just done her own thing for a couple of years. And then she finally started teaching. And she was so excited. Thank you. And she comes into me at the end of the day. This is my assistant principal. She goes, Miss Vecino, it was nothing like Harry Wong said it was going to be. She was so frazzled. It was a very sweet moment. She ended up being an amazing educator. We moved her the following year from second grade to kindergarten, and holy cow, she was a rock star in kindergarten. She struggled in second grade a little bit, but kindergarten was where she needed to live. Truly, it was a good thing. You guys are great. Really, thank you for participating and interacting and making this a really fun session. It's hard virtually, right? It's so much easier when I can actually talk to you. See you.
Hey, Dee Dee. So if your PowerPoint, we think that you can add it post-session and that they'll be able for your PowerPoint. And if not, and then you can send it to myself or David Lopez, and then we can upload it for you so that they can receive that too on the session.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
And I'm so excited that you guys want it. It really makes me feel good.
Yeah, it was an awesome session, Dee Dee. Great job. You did great. I feel you on being virtual, and you can't feel your audience and get the pulse. But I mean, honestly, you did a great job with what you had, and it was amazing. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Megan. I appreciate that feedback. I really do.
No, it's. I mean, that was great. Very interactive, and I know everyone loved it. So thank you again.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Have a great conference, and maybe I'll see you at happy hour tonight. That would be fun, right? Mingle a little bit.
Yes, come to happy hour.
All right, bye everybody. Thank you, Megan.